15 plants that can kill you. From having rashes just by contact, to using its toxin as an appealing alternative for weaponization, to having symptoms like irregular heartbeats and dilated pupils, today we're going to take a look at the 15 plants that can kill you. Stay tuned until the end of the video for some of the most dangerous plants you've ever seen. Let's start with number 15, rhubarb. Rhubarb is a plant that thrives in cold temperatures and may be found in hilly and temperate regions like Northeast Asia. Rheum with hybridum is widely produced as an agricultural vegetable in Europe and North America. They contain a substance known as oxalic acid, which can be lethal if taken in excessive numbers. The leaves contain the greatest oxalate, accounting for 0.5 to 1% of the leaf in total. According to National Geographic, oxalic acid binds to calcium ions in your blood, making them ineffectual. This procedure has the ability to cause kidney issues or even fatal death. It's probably too absurd, but wait till you find out about the deadly nightshade. Moving on to number 14, castor oil plant. They grow in warmer areas, and it's an annual or short-lived perennial that can grow to the size of a small tree. The leaves are big, alternating, palmate and serrate, with 5 to 11 serrated lobes. New leaves are often red-purple in hue, maturing to green. Although castor oil is used in many home cures, the plant itself is more likely to harm you than cure. The seeds contain one of the most deadly naturally occurring compounds known to man. Just one seed can kill a child due to the poisonous protein ricin, which can induce severe dehydration through vomiting and diarrhea. Moving on to number 13, water hemlock. Conium maculatum, also known as the poison water hemlock, is a potentially lethal plant that flourishes throughout the United States. White blooms appear in clusters on the hemlock plant, and the stem bears purple spots. This plant may reach a height of 9 feet. Water hemlock is deadly in all sections and can kill in as little as 15 minutes. Water hemlock grows in marshy, muddy meadows, as well as along the sides of streams, ponds, and rivers. Water hemlock poisonings typically occur when it is mistaken for food plants such as artichokes, celery, sweet potatoes, and sweet anise. Hang on till you find out about the deadliest plant ever. Moving on to number 12, Dieffenbachia. Dieffenbachia is one of the most common indoor plants. It indeed is a low maintenance and can be seen in the homes of plant lovers. However, the plant may be toxic, and it is not a suitable choice in other instances. Dieffenbachia, also known as dumb cane, and is a huge blooming plant that can be found in a variety of households and workplaces. Dieffenbachia causes oral discomfort, vomiting, and trouble swallowing for dogs and cats when it's consumed. If your pet consumes the plant, they may have difficulty swallowing, excessive drooling, and choking or gagging symptoms. Moving on to number 11, Convalera majalis. The lily of the valley, scientifically known as Convalera majalis, is a herbaceous perennial found in temperate zones of the northern hemisphere. The white, bell-shaped, delicate flowers and little orange-red berries of the lily bloom in late April. Toxicity is the plant's way of protecting itself against animals that consume its seeds. All parts of the plant are exceedingly deadly, including the stems, leaves, flowers, and berries, and about 40 distinct cardiac glycides have been discovered in the plant so far. Glycides are chemical substances that have a sugar molecule linked to a non-carbohydrate molecule. Watch on till you hear about the deadly nightshade and why it's called so. Moving on to number 10, daffodils. The yellow trumpeted daffodil. It may look harmless at first sight, yet it contains 2 poisonous substances in its gorgeous blooms: stems, leaves, and bulb. Lycorine and calcium oxalate crystals are 2 daffodil bulb poison principles that can be poisonous to both you and your pets. All of the plant's above-ground components are hazardous as well. Daffodils are perennials in the USDA Plant Hardiness Zones 4, though they may be pushed into bloom as houseplants in all zones. Calcium oxalate crystals can also be seen in daffodil plants. You'll know if you come in contact with the leaves and stems. The crystals immediately produce discomfort in your mouth or a burning feeling on your skin. Moving on to number 9, rhododendron and azalea. Gardeners like them for their hardiness and quantity of blooms. There are over 250 azalea varieties that comprise evergreen and deciduous plants in a variety of hues. ranging from faint pastels to rich jewel tones. Many homes are surrounded by these beautiful bushes, and you wouldn't think they'd be deadly, given how much deer eat them. The deer may enjoy them, but all portions of the rhododendron and azalea plants are exceedingly poisonous and can be lethal if consumed. Don't play any games with these. If somebody consumes any part of the plant, seek medical attention immediately. Symptoms include burning in the mouth, salivation, wet eyes and nose, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, and trouble breathing. Well, deadly nightshade sounds very toxic, doesn't it? Wait till the end to find more about it. Moving on to number 8, foxglove. Although the topmost stem's leaves are extremely toxic, just a little bit is enough to bring you to death. The stem's top leaves are more harmful than the lower leaves. Foxglove is most poisonous right before the seeds develop. It has a spicy, peppery, or bitter flavor with a slightly unpleasant odor. A single dose of 5-gram dried leaf or 2-gram fresh leaf is enough to kill a person. Some people may experience allergic responses even after breathing pollen. A single foxglove plant may yield over 1 million seeds, and it will sow in unexpected areas. Furthermore, because it is a biennial, it only develops a small cluster of leaves in its first year. Moving on to number 7, larkspur. Delphinium, also known as larkspurs, is a severe economic concern for cattle farmers in western North America that use valley, lakewood, and mountain pastureland. Larkspur, delphinium, and its cousin monkhood is a popular decorative plant, typically planted in gardens for its spectacular spikes of beautiful blue blooms. Larkspur is so beautiful that youngsters can't help but touch it, yet even brief contact with the blossoms or leaves can irritate the skin. And if you disregard the warning sign of this plant's harsh, acrid flavor, you might die. It's loaded with deadly alkaloids. You'll feel excitability, disorientation, muscle spasms, stiffness, weakness, and convulsions before collapsing from respiratory paralysis. If you think this was deadly, hang on till you find out more about the deadliest plant ever. Moving on to number 6, white snake root. Autumn white snake root is that unassuming plant that's been growing in shaded areas through spring and summer. You don't even see the 1-foot-tall plant with pointy dark green leaves until one fine day it's blooming wherever you look, with fluffy white blooms. Ageratina altissima, one of the last wild indigenous to blossom, is a blessing to hungry insects like bees, moths, and flies who are desperately foraging before the weather turns chilly and nutrition becomes short. White snake root is so toxic that even consuming the milk or eating the flesh of a cow that has consumed the plant can cause serious illness and even death. Thousands of individuals died of white snake root in the early 19th century, such as even Nancy Hanks Lincoln. Moving on to number 5, white baneberry. Because of its outstanding aesthetic attraction, white baneberry, Actia pachypoda, often known as doll's eyes, is a popular plant to cultivate in gardens. Aside from clusters of small white blooms, the plant produces white berries with deep purple pupils that resemble the doll's eyes. The North American native plant grows to be around 2 feet tall on average. While it may self-seed, it does not often expand vigorously and overwhelm neighboring plants. Humans and animals, including dogs, cats, horses, cattle, are poisoned by white baneberry. Birds, on the other hand, may consume the berries without trouble, dispersing the seeds through their droppings and reproducing the plant. Baneberry glycides degrade during digestion or when the plant is somehow damaged, releasing the toxic protoanemonon, which is the cause of gastrointestinal problems, heart irregularities, and even death. Moving on to number 4, European yew. The common yew, unlike other conifers, does not carry its seeds in a cone. Instead, each seed is surrounded by a red, mushy, berry-like structure called an aril, which is exposed at the tip. Yews are evergreen shrubs or small trees with glossy, stiff, dark green linear leaves 1.5 to 2 inches long with pointed tips that are tightly packed on the branches. On separate plants, inconspicuous axillary male and female flowers create brilliant red to yellow fruits called arils, holding a single seed. Ewing poisoning has no effective cure. Supportive treatment should be used if poisoned. Atropine sulfate is said to be beneficial in slowing the heart rate. Moreover, yew trees contain a number of very poisonous alkaloids. Except for the fleshy region of the aril around the seed, all portions of the plant, whether green or dry, are poisonous. Things are about to get serious from here on out. It's now time to look at the oleander that causes severe symptoms merely by touching it, the toxin of rosary peas that's been weaponized, and the deadly nightshade that you've all been waiting for. Moving on to number 3, oleander. Miriam oleander, also known as oleander, is a robust, easy-to-grow blooming plant found mostly in the bottom part of the United States. Apart from appearing in gardens from coast to coast, it's often spotted beside motorways and in medians in numerous states, including California. However, just because it's everywhere doesn't mean it's always a decent plant. It's not only harmful to people and children, but it may also impact practically all species of animals. Simply touching it may cause discomfort, and smoke from burning cuttings may produce severe allergies. You could even get poisoned just by eating honey made from bees that visited an oleander plant for nectar. Oleander poisoning symptoms include nausea, vomiting, stomach discomfort, bloody diarrhea, heart difficulties like slowed pulse, irregular heartbeat, and other symptoms such as dilated pupils and fatigue. Moving on to number 2, rosary peas. Abrus precatorius beans, also known as rosary peas, are distinct-looking red seeds with a black spot that are frequently utilized in jewelry and toys, particularly from foreign sources. The entire plant is poisonous, but the beans are extremely dangerous to humans. If precatorius seeds are consumed, they might cause nausea, stomach discomfort, and diarrhea. Because of its ease of availability and production, this toxin is an appealing alternative for weaponization in developing nations. It is consequently listed on Schedule 1 of the Chemical Weapons Conventions. Abrin, the toxin, is utilized in medical research because of its promise as a cancer-killing medication. Abrin causes sickness just by entering a person's body cells and stopping them from producing the proteins they require. Cells perish if proteins are not present. This eventually causes damage to the entire body, and death is very likely. Now we move on to the moment we've all been waiting for. Number 1, belladonna. The toxic plant belladonna, Atropa belladonna, is common in Asia and Europe. It is also known as deadly nightshade. Belladonna has little black berries that should not be consumed. Consuming the berries or leaves might be fatal. A rash may occur if the person's skin comes into close contact with the leaves like it does with poison ivy. Most people are unaware that the nightshade family contains popular food plants such as potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, and chili peppers. When examining a person's eyes, optometrists frequently use belladonna to dilate pupils. Belladonna has 2 compounds that are utilized in medicine. Scopolamine is the first chemical, and it's mostly used to reduce bodily discharges. It also aids in the reduction of stomach acid, which can support nausea and acid reflux. Subscribe and we'll see you on the next episode of Stay Wise.